All right, let's get a check on trading for the local bourse right here in Nigeria and most of the global markets that we track. We have Aniete Edet with the details. Great to have you, Aniete. So it's a rainy afternoon right here, but trade is still on.
Yes, of course, trade is still on, and of course, that's the third trading day in October. October just started for trading on Wednesday. And of course, we've had another holiday-shortened week.
And it's looking like October is looking quite tough for risk assets, at this point. And we're seeing what's playing out, with oil. Oil seems to be the one shining, with all of this geopolitics we have in the Middle East.
Well, of course, and that geopolitical tension is riveting around the world. So it's not just Nigeria's stock market that is in the red. We see markets, mostly, particularly the ones in the Middle East. But some markets across Africa are making some gains, and I'll be giving you more details about that right at this moment. Okay, so now let's get it started. Intraday market numbers for Nigeria's stock market, where we start first. Intraday 0.14% is where the market, this is where the market left before I came into the studio. But overnight, which was yesterday, the market was down 1.13% and losing about 671.16 billion naira. And of course, it has dropped below that 97,000 points. But at intraday, it was struggling for some gains at 97,200.00, which you can see on your screen there. So Nigeria's stock market is still trying to make that gain. We saw about 23 gainers and 28 losers. The gainers was led by Seplat, as well as some other mid-cap companies, while the losers was led by almighty Dangote Cement, which is the #1 most capitalized equity on the stock market. Of course, both of them, both the top gainers and the losers, they were up by 10% and also down by 10%. So year to date, the market has lost about, retreated to about 29.81%. Month to date, we saw an earlier decline of the market, 0.33%, but yesterday, like I mentioned, was down by more than 1%. So now that's just a snapshot for the market. Now for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, we see the intraday numbers in the green, 0.06% at 86,510.00. For the other two markets on the African continent, we see the EGX 30, 1.24% for the close of Thursday's trading session, while the NSE All-Share Index on the Nairobi Stock Exchange was also up 0.43%. So it's all the greens for the African major indexes that we track, both for intraday and the close of Thursday's trading session. So that's it for the market. Now, we'll be talking more about the market, and this time we have three things to talk about. First, we see the collaboration between the Nigerian Exchange Limited as well as the Johannesburg Stock Exchange with Nigeria's capital market regulator, that's the SEC, and they will be talking more. That was on Wednesday, so they had a get-together kind of where they're collaborating on governance, market development, sustainability. And to talk more about this and other issues within the market, we have investment research analyst at AfriInvest, Nathaniel Daniel, joining me, Nathaniel Disso joining me in the studio right now. And this time, I think he's coming physically. Thank you for joining us, Nathaniel.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nancy.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so now it's quite interesting. Two of Africa's biggest markets, stock markets, that is Nigeria and Johannesburg, making a collaboration. So what is your expectation for this on the market? How will it affect African markets?
Okay, I think this new collaboration is actually timely. And based on the reports that we got concerning the agreements, it was more on corporate governance and how they can achieve market effectiveness. And something that is really important is that both JSE and the NGX, they have a sort of demutualized exchange, which means that the market is now owned by shareholders and it can be done for profit. And one of the interesting things is that JSE achieved this feat in 2005, that's about 19 years ago, but the NGX is relatively new in that space, 2021, and so that collaboration is more of the NGX learning from the JSA on how best they can achieve this. And one of the things that we see that we think would be important is the AfCFTA agreements. That is the Africa Free Trade Agreement. So that would help a kind of collaboration between both markets. And one of the things that they also discussed about is the possibility of having dual listings which is something we don't really see often between the NGX and the JSE. As a matter of fact, it's only Oando that is the Nigerian company that is listed on both the NGX and the JSE. So having that collaboration would be timely to see more possible dual listings in the future.
Interesting. Okay, so now let's talk about the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter, beginning October down to December. And more expectations. We saw, I don't know how that number came out for the third quarter, but what are your expectations for the fourth quarter of the year?
So for the fourth quarter, one of the things that we'll be looking at, or that we'll be paying attention more, is on the banking sector and the oil and gas sector. Because if we look at the data on for I think last month, September, we could see that oil and gas and banking stocks had one of the top performing sector. Oil and gas had about 7% gain. That's the index generally, and the banking index had about 10% gain. So those are the sectors that we think would actually be of interesting to watch in the last quarter. And also the earnings releases for Q3 would also be something that to look out for. And finally, for the MPC meeting that just happened, CBN raised rates again to about 27.25%. So that might have a trickish look for investors, because we all know that when the interest rates is hiked, that the equity market would be out of favor.
Okay, so now today is Friday, the last that we've seen two downs. Earlier Monday we saw a gain. So what is your outlook for the markets close for Friday?
So for the outlook for the markets close today, it's just going to be more of the same, because we're just entering into October. Monday was a public holiday due to Independence. So we would see that investors are actually like trying to find their feet to see how October would look out on the back of the MPC meeting, and also earnings releases that we'll be expecting in a couple of days or weeks.
I'm sure where all the investors, their eyes out for the third quarter earnings result. I'm sure will be coming out maybe as from next week or in 2 weeks' time. But of course, all the markets will be looking out for that. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming in person on the show.
Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you.